Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Pinkston.
Hey, good morning. Again, I said this last time. I always say good morning. I think this airs like at 4 o'clock on a Sunday. So good afternoon. I am so excited about today. Every third Thursday, I get the distinct honor and pleasure of recording with Ray Solano, a compounding pharmacist, nutritionist, research god, everything. This guy's all over the place. He is located, though, up in Cedar Park, Texas, with a compounding pharmacy called PD Labs, which you can access on my website and take a look at all their products and things that they promote and do. A very busy guy with a very busy daughter. Hi, Ray. How are you doing?
I'm doing great today. Yes,
Good.
We are all busy. We're all out here really helping people get the best of their health.
Fighting the good fight, I think, is what we're looking at.
Giving people hope, because it is a sea of chaos out there.
Isn't
we
it?
didn't know what we did. We'd sit there and go, wow, I feel sorry for everybody. That's why this show is so good. I'm glad you got great listeners.
Thank you. I sure do. I'm having so much fun with this. It's amazing. And you have been a significant part of helping me do this, being a sponsor and all. I really appreciate you. And you have something so wonderful to talk to us about today. That's why I'm so excited. So you've got a test now that is available, and it is a Glycan Age. So what is Glycan Age, and what are we looking at? What are we doing with it?
Well, we need to look at our testing and our aging in a completely different manner. Okay. Aging, we look at it is inevitable. Okay.
Yeah.
There's more research into slowing the aging process and living longer than ever before. Unfortunately, we got a lot of billionaires that want to live forever.
Mostly politicians.
But look at it differently. Aging is more like a disease.
It is.
And what is your biological age? What is your metabolic age? We know how old we are, but metabolically, really, how old are we?
Right.
And that's what we're really talking about. Now we're going to be able to measure that for the first time by using a test that understands these, or takes these particles that are big building blocks of our cells called glycans.
Yes.
Okay. So a team of researchers surveyed over 100,000 people and published over 100 peer-reviewed journals and correlated these glycans to inflammatory and anti-inflammatory markers that can predict what your metabolic age is. So really, the question is, how old are you?
Exactly.
And so, you and I both, you can look at some people and you say, oh, that person looks about 70, and they says,
and they're really 50.
They're 50.
Right.
And then you look at other people that are 90 and you go, especially the ones that centurions that live to 110. Yeah. And when they're 80, they go, you look at them, they look like they're 60.
Exactly.
But now we can be able to measure that and see what your true metabolic age is. And these glycans are easily determined in your blood. So with a simple blood test that you can do at your home, believe it or not,
at your house,
you have to be able to prick yourself, though.
Yes.
Okay. That's important. You got to be able to prick yourself. You got to get some blood and put it in a blood spot. Like
a finger test, though, right? Like you would
test,
a glucometer or sugar test.
You're not going to be doing a big needle.
Right.
Is something that's easily it can be done. And you drop, there's 4 circles you fill with blood, and you send it in the mail. And about 3 weeks later, you're going to get a test sent to your office and be able to read it. And it's going to be very easily be able to read that you can determine the amount of inflammatory glycans and anti-inflammatory glycans. So, as whether we're training, okay, if you got athletes that are doing Ironman or Iron Woman, or being able to do marathons or just training, they'll usually are not really fine-tuned.
Right.
And they're the ones that are getting ill after a race, or they're the ones that are always getting a cold. And so this is what we're looking at, is balancing them with the right fuels, so we can determine, it's a report card of how well you're doing. So that's the question. How well are your lifestyle choices, how well your body is responding? Because sometimes we think we know we're doing okay, but what if we're intolerant to the foods that we're eating that are causing inflammatory cytokines, that are causing inflammatory markers? Wouldn't you want to know that? And this is a perfect way of doing that. And this is something that can follow up. You can do repeatedly over and over again.
And keep checking to see if you're getting better and improving.
Exactly.
Right? Okay. Which is wonderful, because like you say, there's not just one way. Everybody, when they look up a diet on the internet to, anti-inflammatory or to feel better, look better, whatever it is, lose weight, whatever it is you're trying to do, our bodies are different. And so, we have different blood types, for instance. And so there's a different way for our bodies to age. Like you say, it's a disease. So how can we stop the disease process and hopefully even turn it around? Because you think somebody who's in great shape, looks good, nice and thin, is healthy, but that may not always be the case. Or you see somebody who is, appears to be unhealthy, and that might not always be the case. But it depends on what you're eating, how you're treating your body. So when you look that across the board, you're trying to judge that from looking at somebody, this is a way where you can actually go down into the body to that cellular level and look and see what you're really like, because inflammation is what ages us.
Sure.
So if you do this test and you look at, the inflammatory markers and whatnot in the body, where the inflammation is. And if you can destroy the inflammation, you can slow down or even turn around some of that aging. But each one of us is different. That test tells us how you are supposed to go about doing that. Is that right?
How powerful is that?
It's crazy.
You think about it. How many people, their blood sugars are out of line?
Right.
There's more people that are really diagnosed as diabetics than ever before.
Oh, yeah.
And you would look at them and they're going, well, sometimes they're very thin. And you look at them and say they're fine, but they're running at 300 blood sugar levels.
Yeah.
So
on the other flip side of that, Ray, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but on the flip side of that, I see a lot of patients that, the industry has suggested that a hemoglobin A1C, which is a test to determine if you have diabetes or not, is 6.5, that number and above is equal to diabetes, but you've got somebody 6.2, 3, or 4. And in my mind, I'm thinking, like a pregnancy test, are you pregnant or are you not? Why is 6.5 the absolute dividing line there? So we've got to catch those people that are in the pre-diabetes.
That's right. Pre-diabetic.
Because they're aging too. And that's just as important as the diabetes category.
Well, I think there's a marker as every percentage over 5.5% hemoglobin A1C, you're aging 1 or 2% faster than the next person.
Absolutely. That's great.
So these are the prevention medicine. That's what we practice. That's what you practice, is prevention medicine. And this is what we're looking at as an insurance policy for good health. We all know that if you look at it monetarily, we can be all bankrupt very easily with bad health. And we know patients all the time, and that their health can just derail everything of what they're going to succeed in later on in life, especially in your later years.
Yes.
So it's really important as an insurance policy to take those dividends now. And this is a way to determine how well you're doing, because it's predictive of where you're going to be 10 years from now.
Yes.
And that's what people don't really understand. Yeah, what are you going to be like in your 70s?
Yeah.
And you're only in your 50s. Why not? So this is where we think the trend is happening, is people realizing they're getting smart because they've been sitting home for a whole year. Right. And they've been told that they can't do anything, and people are smart.
Yeah, they're learning. They're looking up things every day. They're watching podcasts. And they're starting to learn, starting to pick up on things and getting smart to that idea. And I love that. But there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of bad information. And so say somebody wants to do this test. How do they? I want to. I mean, I'm ready to. So
it's very simple. They contact your practitioner, you or your office, and we pay for the kit up front, and the manufacturer will ship it directly to you.
Awesome.
And this way, we just have to have your email address, your name, and this way they tag your test when it gets to you so they can track it.
Exactly.
That's just as simple as that.
Yes.
Then the results come back to the practitioner, and in a consult, the manufacturer can do the consult, but we think we can do a better job of that information.
Absolutely.
Because what are you going to do with the results when you get it?
Right. You have questions. You may have questions. You may need to know more, and that's where we come in.
We've been doing this a long time, and
yes.
we do know that there's one size does not fit all.
Absolutely.
So you have to personalize the solution to the patient.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to do. We think this is going to be the best breakthrough that we have seen, because we're going to find it more and more difficult to go get blood draws in the future.
Yeah.
And difficult to schedule, and they're going to be unfortunately make it tougher and tougher.
And I don't know really, I do a pretty significant in-depth, lab panel on patients, but I don't know that I have anything that gives me information like this. And you don't have to necessarily come to my office to get the test and do it. This is something we want to offer to people to do at home. I do not make money off of this test. I can't. There's star clause against that. It's not that. It really is offering something to people that they can do. And I invite you, please, then after you do it, to come to my office and let me go over this with you. We do a telemedicine visit on it. It's very, very simple. It's not expensive to do that, insurance or not. And so if they can, I know with the show, so the website drpbetterlife.com is where patients can go, drpbetterlife.com. And on there is a contact form where you can drop, and this, want to make sure people know that to be warned that encryption and HIPAA compliance and things like that, if you're giving me information, it may not be entirely secure. You need to know that. So if you give me information, please just give me a name and email address. Phone number if you want us to contact you. Please don't put personal information on there longer than that, much more than that. But we can get that to you. We can help you receive that testing information, get it done. And then we go from there. You can come to the office, do a telemedicine, whatever you like at that point. We can help you understand this testing.
It's almost too easy.
Right?
Really.
What's the catch?
What's the catch? Well, it's new. And I think the next step was we're going to do for hormone levels.
Right.
So this is just the first module.
I saw that.
There's going to be 3, and then also look at cardiovascular disease. Increase in these glycans are pro-inflammatory, and then we're increase in the risk of cardiovascular disease.
Yes,
so we're going to have a cardiovascular module as well.
Right.
So there's tremendous power behind this, and we're seeing an enormous number of testing, at-home testing. So what the digitalization of medicine is now coming to the individual patients that we were doing. We're having at-home tests now that 5 years ago would be considered everything has to be done at a specialty lab.
Yes. Right.
So this is kind of the benefit of what we have found in the post-COVID world.
Right.
And this is
there is some benefit there, thank God.
There's technology advances in medicine that are exploding.
Right.
And we're going to see a lot of therapeutics that are worthwhile. And then the question is, everybody says, well, did these supplements really work? Well, this is a great way of measuring, measuring in a very simple way. Or does changing my diet really work?
Right.
This is a great tool that we have, and everybody's going to be different, but getting people's weight under control and getting their health under control is the best investment in their health.
You brought up something very important too when you said that, in doing the test, and again, I'll just reiterate what I said before. And when patients come and I do, a lipid panel, a hemoglobin A1C, or some of the other labs, these are things that take a lot of time to change. And it really doesn't tell you anything about the future of where they're going or what their bodies are doing. But this type of testing does. It really tells you, it's a much, much more accurate marker of how you're living and changing. So, your cholesterol may change a little bit, but are you less inflamed? Are you healthier in any way? Is this really getting better? And what you're eating and doing, is it really getting better? Sometimes it takes a tremendous amount of time to know if that's changing, but this could help much, much, much better.
I'm not, I can theorize here. We all are taking drugs to make our lab tests look better.
Right.
Treating
the lab, not the patient.
Treating the lab, not the patient. And we all know that we have patients that are 50 pounds overweight, that their lipid levels are off the chart. And so they're taking drugs and therapeutics, injectables, whatever, to make it look better.
Right.
But they're still 50 pounds overweight.
Right.
And there's nothing being done on those inflammatory. That's an inflammatory cocktail just waiting to happen. So this is the reason why cardiovascular events have not decreased over the last 20 years.
It's just prolonging your time to a heart attack or stroke. Really, it's not preventing it. That's what I think a lot of medications do. You know what, my friend? We have butt up against the end of the first side, and we went so fast. So we're going to take a short break and come back and talk a little bit about inflammaging. I cannot roll that.
There you go. I like that. Very good.
We'll come back and talk about that in just a few minutes.
Hi, this is Ray Solano with your Healthy Choices Minute, sponsored by Prescription Dispensing Labs. New research has concluded that implementing dietary changes could prevent gut inflammatory processes involved in some chronic diseases. Modulation of your gut microbes through diets enriched with vegetables, legumes, grains, nuts, and a higher intake of plant over animal foods has a potential to prevent intestinal inflammatory conditions at the core of many chronic diseases. In short, the foods we eat and our dietary patterns have a major influence on our immune system that can cause many conditions we are suffering from today. Solution: try our OptiMeal shake. Our team has developed the best tasting, healthiest shake you've ever experienced to control blood sugar and to improve your gut. Start your day today with a healthy choice. Call us today at 888-909-0110 for a free sample of the OptiMeal shake. 888-909-0110. Remember, you have a choice in healthcare.
Hey, we are back and talking with Ray Solano today up in Austin with the PD Labs. Has been a great support to me and a good friend. And we've been talking about the Glycan Age, which is a test that can test your, not just your chronological age, but compares it to your biological age, which if you're 60, you may actually be 50 and doing really well, or you could be a good 85, not doing so well. So you want to know which way you're going, and not just chronological. That is one way of doing it. So we'll talk more about that again in a minute. But I actually drpbetterlife.com, go to our contact information, drop me not too much information. It's not HIPAA compliant, really encrypted for information, but a name and an email address. I'll get that anyway when you email me, and just say, I'm interested. You don't have to put any personal information. It'll come right to me there. And we can send you out information about this test that is something I don't make money off of. You don't have to see me to get it done. You can get it done, take it at home, and then get the results. We can go over it in a telemedicine or, face-to-face visit at the clinic. And it's wonderful. So Ray, you guys are the ones that brought this information to me. I had no idea, and I love it. Jim Laval is somebody who's behind this as well. But they now, something I've heard Jim say is the term inflammaging.
That's right. Inflammaging. How do you like that?
Yeah, inflammaging. So what is inflammaging? And, I know this test plays into it, but what is inflammaging?
Well, as we age, unfortunately, it's an inflammation process. These senolytic cells, these dead cells that are zombie cells, seem to take over. So we have this, if you look at your blood chemistry and your plasma, you have these cells that don't really have life to them. They're just taking up space. But unfortunately, it saps the energy from us, and it accelerates the aging process. So it's as a result of inflammation. Okay.
Yes.
So this is the thing that we're looking at. We got to slow down the inflammation cycle because it's making us age prematurely.
And it's making us tired and achy and, all of those things that people complain about with me all the time.
And obese,
I don't feel
obese
well.
at the same time.
And obese and just, all of those things. Absolutely.
And that's the thing that we 70% of the people that have had COVID or died from COVID are obese.
Right.
And we really have to have a war, not on the virus, but we need to have a war against obesity. And there's lots of tools out there for that.
Right.
And, your practice has done just a phenomenal job of getting people started, right?
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Love it. So, well, and with the, a couple of little tools, I've got a book, and then you brought up a very important point on a diet, and the book and the diet kind of go together because working on inflammation, we are trying to get people to, everybody's heard of intermittent fasting and some of those buzzwords, but there's actually something that's a little bit easier and better to, well, maybe not easier, but better to do. And it's fasting mimicking. And so there's, So there's a kit even out there, and there's a website, I'm sure we've got just a few minutes, but a website that people can go to and look for the Prolon diet, right?
And again, we have to follow, like I said, science. And Dr. Longo put together the book is called The Longevity Diet.
Yes.
And it's based on 27 years of research. And to make it very simple, fasting's been around since the beginning of time, and it's just cultural and religious ceremonies. However, there's some downfalls for that. As the body goes through a fasting, it increases natural killer cells, improves immunity, but after a while it starts to eat itself and decrease muscles, and it goes into a sleep cycle. So Dr. Longo in his book is be able to pulse the cells and give it certain key nutrients so that it doesn't go into that state of decline or a excititude that it stops metabolically, slows the metabolic process. Right. So for 5 days, you go through this program, and then it's an intermittent fasting, but it doesn't have the negative side effects for it. So you're eating as opposed to fasting, but eating the correct nutrients that do the positive benefits of fasting without the negatives. Because, fasting, intermittent fasting is really only supposed to be done twice a week. Right. But in 5 days, you go through this program, and I promise you at the end, the Prolon kit, you'll come out on the other end much healthier.
Which is wonderful. So that longevity, it's the longevity diet, and it's Valter. That's a VALTER. Longo, LONGO. It's a really good read, and it's a quick read, honestly. And so that is something that you can Amazon it, or they can actually go to pdlabsrx.com and get it from you.
We'll send you a free copy. How's that?
Awesome. Hey,
we just want people just to
Alex is having a heart attack right now. Free. Ray said free.
I said free.
PD Labs. PDLabsRx.com.
RX.com. Yes. And the Prolon kit. It's the best step forward to make that jump, and it'll change the course of your health. I really believe that.
And make that Glycan Age test look better you go.
Look a bit better. I think what I call October. October is coming up, and I call it the Super Bowl of sugar gets kicked off in Halloween.
Exactly.
Okay?
Right.
And it doesn't end until February.
It's
Valentine's Day.
It's
and everybody will be gaining 3 pounds. I promise you.
3 pounds per month. Honestly, I see it really go fast with people.
At the worst case in February, you will gain 3 pounds. You'll never be able to get off.
Right. I think I'm still wearing that birthday cake from my 21st birthday somewhere on here. It's terrible, right? But
so start now, right? So
Ray,
the surge, right?
Exactly. So we have hit up against the end, and this is a good one. I really have enjoyed this. So please go to drpbetterlife.com for more information. It'll all be on there about fasting mimicking diet, the longevity diet book. pdlabsrx.com is on there as well, where you can get that free book. It's not a free Prolong kit, but a free book. And I'll have the website for the Prolong kit that you can start your fasting mimicking diet. And then you can contact me through the contact page, drpbetterlife.com, and send me just an email that says, I want this. I'll automatically have your email and I'll get you hooked up. And Ray,
Great.
As always, thank you so much. It's always an honor.
It's my pleasure. And please, everybody, just do something. There's lots of resources. We're here to help you.
Awesome. Absolutely. Thank you, Ray. We'll talk to you next time.
Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.